Report unusual behavior. Barricade your homes. Avoid all contact with infected individuals. Wait for official instructions. Wait my ass.
Kill all sons of bitches. That's my official instructions.
This used to be a nice neighborhood.
This is some grim shit we got ourselves into.
Who the hell puts an evac station up 30 flights of goddamn stairs?
Come on, Coach. Maybe the helicopter. Maybe it's made of chocolate.
Hey, where is everybody? Hello?
Oh, this is not happening.
Anyone here?
This is not happening. This is not happening.
Aren't they supposed to be saving our asses?
Looks like there's been a change of plans.
Stop the bombing run!
It's got me!
Hang on!
What the hell? Holy shit.
Hey, kill all sons of bitches, right?
I have not come this far to die now.
This is as far as Virgil go, but you can make it back to the bridge from here.
Thanks, Virgil. You stay safe, brother.
Good luck to you. You'll take care now.
All right, people. Let's get to that bridge.
You got every line on the horizon. It's like we're ahead of ourselves.
Hi, my name is Gabe Newell, and welcome to Left 4 Dead 2. We love this style.
We did a lot of work in Left 4 Dead 2 to make every campaign unique in terms of flavor and gameplay. This drove our decisions in regard to locale, lighting, population, music, and events. We wanted to create a continuous set of locations proceeding through the South, with the goal of making each location iconic and evocative. We drew up an overall world map of our version of the South, and charted out a journey through a variety of locations. While each location has its own.
Since players spend the vast majority of their time shooting the common infected, we wanted to improve the feedback and visceral nature of this experience. In Left 4 Dead 1 we provided only the ability to shoot off limbs, with blood decals for bullet hits appearing only on the PC. Now, in Left 4 Dead 2, there are 43 unique ways to damage an infected, from gunfire through melee weapons all the way up to explosive damage. Because many of these wounds are non-fatal, players are able to wound an infected more than once, resulting in about 780 possible damage combinations. To create the
We wanted to improve the variation on the infected while keeping their memory footprint identical. The entire horde is never comprised of more than 5 head textures and 5 body textures. We use a luminosity lookup into a gradient texture for tinting variation, allowing us to not only get a hue variation, but also a luminosity variation. For example, we can make a black or white t-shirt out of the same texture map. The gradient is broken up into zones, so that we can tint areas of clothing and skin differently. The infected texture also includes 4.
When deciding what to do about the music for Left 4 Dead 2, we faced some interesting challenges. Some of the music in Left 4 Dead 1 plays an iconic and important role in gameplay, and we felt that it shouldn't really be changed. On the other hand, the game is set in the southern United States, which is rich with musical identity, so we also felt that adding some local flavor to each campaign would really help set the tone for that campaign. The solution to bridging the gap between the new local campaign music and the more
The infected textures are part hand-painted, part photographic reference. One of our team members had a nightmare folder full of photographs of people suffering from bizarre diseases and injuries.
We wanted to invoke the feeling that the infected have lost their humanity and behave like feral animals.
Hey, I'm reloading.
Seeing their eyes glow in the dark like those of a deer in headlights helps illustrate this.
This restaurant was one of the first areas we populated with tables and chairs. In early playtests, a survivor would pop a boomerang, and the resulting explosion sent tables and chairs flying everywhere. It was a great effect. We decided to furnish a few more.
The pipe bomb has always been a crowd pleaser, but in Left 4 Dead 1 we were forced to disable ragdolls and jibs and replace them with a blood mist due to performance issues. This time, with a new wound system, a new ragdoll solver and new particle effects, we finally returned to our original vision. The pipe bomb causes visually catastrophic damage to the infected horde, to the delight of gamers and designers alike.
Grabbing pills.
Grabbing a shot.
Get these pills.
In Left 4 Dead 2, we wanted to give players who were looking for a narrative a little more. To do this, we introduced the 4 survivors to each other and the infection as we begin the game. This lets us see the world changing through their eyes, and the world is changing. Each new campaign shows a different stage in reaction to the infection.
The new Special Infected were designed with a variety of goals in mind. They needed to fill in gaps left by the other specials. They needed to provide interesting combos with other infected, and they needed to offer a new, fun set of skills for players to master, whether they were playing as or against the infected. When we began Left 4 Dead 2, we had a list of several dozen infected types that have been discussed over the past several years. We added a fair number of new designs to those, and eventually whittled our list down to the final 3: the Charger, the Spitter, and the Jockey. The best survivor teams stick close together and buckle down under attack, quickly fending off infected attack.
The park started out having several paths that were dynamically changed for added replayability. However, playtesters found the paths confusing. When we removed the dynamic objects that forced survivors to go in certain directions, we found that having all paths open led to a better experience. Players still spend a lot of time in the park, but they could choose to go different ways every time they played the level.
Pipe bomb out!
Dude, I hear one of them back humpers around.
Reloading.
Throw the pipe bomb!
Oh, zombies are goddamn bulletproof. Reload!
Reloading.
Reloading!
Their backs ain't bulletproof.
Reloading!
Yeah, I'll take it.
Reloading. Reloading. I'm a reload. Reload.
The animators experimented quite a bit with the movement styles of the new Special Infected in order to help them contrast with the existing specials. Some early passes at the spitter featured awkward, bouncy, bird-like movements with knock knees and pigeon toes. She certainly looked different, but it was a little too humorous and didn't project enough of a feeling of strength and danger, so she ended up with much more aggressive posing and actions. We tried a few animal-inspired runs for the jockey, including sideways leaping hops like a lemur and a four-legged hyena-like gallop. These fit with his maniacal laughter, but again, needed to be more aggressive. Such movements also would have caused problems maneuvering the character and reading its intentions in-game, especially in versus mode. They also seemed too much of a mutation from the character's original human state when considering the amount of time from the start of his infection. The jockey's final movement pass has him on two legs with just the right touch of animal inspiration. A menacing, predatory hunch, and hands bent rather like a praying mantis, ready to give survivors a big, deadly hug.
I'm a reload.
Can always use these.
Adrenaline shot here.
As soon as that door
Adrenaline
opens,
shot here.
get ready to run for the tower.
Gotta agree with that.
The alarm scenario at the bus station was the first Left 4 Dead 2 crescendo event to feature the Gauntlet mode, where players must navigate along a path to deactivate zombie rush. This proved to be a successful approach to countering the camping strategy of finding an optimal corner and holding out.
And let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, get up there, turn it off.
Go!
Left 4 Dead 1 had a good, fictionally justifiable cast of guns, the M16 being a standard police and military weapon, for example. In Left 4 Dead 2, we had the opportunity to do something a bit less generic and use some more interesting guns, while still being aware that we had to justify their place in the game. The Desert Rifle, for example, is used to suggest that the military had rerouted guns meant for the Middle East back to deal with the domestic crisis, hence the Desert Camp.
Because Left 4 Dead 1 took place entirely during the night, it was fairly straightforward to light the path we wanted players to take. For campaigns that take place during the day, we had to find other tools to help the player along. The most valuable tools were visible landmarks, such as gas station signs.
As with our efforts to replace the first aid kit, replacing the pain pills item was a challenge. Initial versions of Adrenaline allowed players to run faster and perform certain actions faster, such as reviving other players. But the pills already give 50 temporary health points, which is enough health for injured players to run at full speed again, so the Adrenaline needed something extra. We expanded the actions that could be affected by Adrenaline, shortening the time it takes to use health kits, defibrillators, and upgrade packs. We sped up the player beyond their normal maximum speed and made them resistant to being slowed down by hits from the infected. Although it doesn't give as much health as the pain pills, we found many interesting strategies began to emerge from the well-timed use of Adrenaline.
Defibrillator here.
Reloading.
As we added more special infected characters to Left 4 Dead 2, we faced a challenge in designing unique sounds for them that players could easily recognize and distinguish from the other specials and from the common infected. In Left 4 Dead, the 4 male specials each had both a distinct tonal range and a character attribute to keep them unique. For instance, the Boomer's vocalizations were kind of a slow, deep, bassy, gastric horror. As we added the new specials into the mix, it became increasingly difficult to avoid impinging on the sonic space of the previous specials. We found that we couldn't rely so much on using the tonal range for distinction, and instead had to push harder on characterization to help them to read clearly to players. For example, the
The Source Engine's animation system is a powerful tool that lets us create animations procedurally instead of authoring each of them individually by hand. There are various reasons for doing this, which become clear when we consider the challenge of animating the jockey riding a survivor. From the start of the jockey's design, we wanted the
Oh, hey! If that was their idea. Reloading! Hey, I'm reloading!
Up until Left 4 Dead 2, all playtests conducted at Valve required an observer from the team to sit behind each tester and observe them directly. For Left 4 Dead 2, we developed a system where a single observer could view each playtester's screen in parallel with webcams that captured the playtester's reaction. We recorded every playtest so we could go back and reference specific moments at will. This meant that most of the team could continue working during the playtest, which often takes several hours out of every day.
Reloading! Weapons!
This drop onto the bus shows a good example of what we call a return. If a survivor walks on top of the bus, he has a height advantage against the infected. However, a smoker can pull him down off the bus, so that he has to go around and up the stairs to get back with the rest of the team.
Reload! Reloading! Reloading! Hey, I'm reloading. Reloading!
Oh, will you cut that shit out? Up here.
I'm a reload.
Adrenaline shot here.
Reload.
Fire bullets here.
Reloading.
First aid kit.
As with the smoker, the spitter has a gameplay style which necessitates making her more visible to the player at a distance. Since the spitter's strategy is to hit and run, striking at the survivors from far away, we needed distinct visual markers to differentiate her in the dark spaces during the chaos of combat. To this end, we concocted a glowing drool that would illuminate her and create a sharp contrast to the other game colors, while playing off the green death motif associated with the infection. The trail she leaves, which is visually similar to her projectile attack, allows players a brief chance to track her movements when she retreats to hide.
Reload!
After we shipped support for custom add-on campaigns via the VPK format, we realized that while many people can install and play these campaigns, it was difficult to discover what add-on campaigns other players were playing. We also noticed that few players were joining games of different difficulties since it wasn't clear how many other games were available for each setting.
The laser sight weapon upgrade came from an experiment during the development of the first Left 4 Dead, though we didn't end up shipping them at the time. While developing Left 4 Dead 2, when we were talking about interesting items that players could scavenge out of the levels, we remembered the visual impact of those red laser beams. The original intention of the item was to increase the accuracy of the guns, but the more valuable benefit was accidental. You could now see where the other members of your team were aiming. We also liked the choices that confronted players when they had to decide whether or not to swap out their upgraded weapon for one of a different style.
Reloading!
Reloading!
Man, look at all these cars.
After Left 4 Dead 1 shipped, we wanted to experiment with an optional crescendo event. The impound lot is the final version of that experiment. It's difficult for a survivor team to navigate through without setting off a single car alarm, and if they manage it, the experience of carefully sneaking through an obstacle course full of traps is itself quite rewarding.
Up this ladder.
Reloading! Hey, we're gonna make it out of here!
Since managing health with a first aid kit is such a large part of the player's decision process, finding a new item for the backpack slot proved to be difficult. We wanted the new item to be as valuable as a health kit in certain situations and have a big benefit for the team, as opposed to being merely another offensive weapon. It needed to have a user interface similar to the health kit, requiring a target and an action that takes some time to perform. We also liked the idea of an item that would act like a get-out-of-jail-free card, an insurance policy in case of a tank or witch attack. Our exaggerated version of a hospital defibrillator immediately conveyed the purpose of the item. Plus, it gives the survivors a chance to yell, "Clear!"
That'll keep me for a bit. I guess we're gonna have to visit that grave.
Reload! Hey, I'm reloading.
Something that was always sad for us to watch in Left 4 Dead was that players would always choose an optimized path through a level once they played the map a couple times. That meant the hard work we put into other areas of the map would never be seen. So one thing we wanted to add in Left 4 Dead 2 was the ability for the AI director to change the path of the survivors through a level, so they have to take a different path each time. The cemetery contains one example of this new approach. There are 4 different paths that the AI director can create for the survivors. It does this by spawning in and out particular crypts and gates.
Reloading! Reloading. Throwing a pipe bomb.
I'm reloading.
Grabbing a pipe bomb.
Pipe bomb all the way. Reloading. I'm a reload. Reloading. Hey, I'm reloading. Reload. Safe house.
I'm reloading.
Look out!
Watch out! Reloading.
Reloading. I'm thinking we could.
You'll probably put this to better use than
Whoa!
Man, they lighten up this whole place. We gotta get to the bridge.
I'm feeling right.
Let me hear you. This is what friends are for.
That worked.
The writers originally devised a biography for a convict character. There was an idea that here in the lawless world of the infected, this escaped convict, sick of wearing prison clothes, had taken to loot a very expensive white suit from an abandoned clothing store. He might as well survive the apocalypse in style. This concept gradually evolved into the riverboat gambler.
We need to keep moving.
This balcony was designed as a fish in a barrel moment, where the survivors can come out to the street and pick off a bunch of the wandering infected without being in much danger. We felt it was a good introduction to our interpretation of Bourbon Street, giving a nice atmospheric vista without too much immediate threat.
Reloading. Stop bombing us. Hey, I'm reloading.
Reloading!
Reloading!
Level designers in Left 4 Dead 1 placed individual items, such as pipe bombs, Molotovs, and pills, all over the levels. The AI director had the ability to pick which instance of each item to spawn. This meant that pills would never spawn in the same place as a pipe bomb or Molotov. In Left 4 Dead 2, we decided that we wanted more variety in item spawning, so we now simply place an entity called a weapon item spawn. The AI director not
We deliberately sought to design iconic French Quarter locales that would be fun to fight in. This jazz club gave us a nice large interior space that offered a break from exterior streets and alleys.
Reloading!
One of the challenges with melee weapons is getting them to feel right and look decent. In order to get the fire axe to look right when playing the game, it had to cross the screen within 3 or 4 frames. To enhance visibility, we swap between the normal axe and a smeared version, along with a particle effect to cheat a motion blur. The smeared axe hits at the correct time, but allows your eyes to follow the action.
Reloading!
Because sound is such a crucial gameplay element in Left 4 Dead, the designers needed temporary sounds to test out ideas for the new boss infected. Sometimes we were able to pull temp sounds from unused performances in our library, but in Left 4 Dead 2, the sound designers did their own temp performances. The goal with these is to be just functional enough to test the new character's viability. As such, some of the temp voices for the characters were quite funny. While inappropriate for the actual game, some of the sounds were highly popular within the team, and it was common to hear animators up and down the halls mimicking the early Charger test calls.
Reloading! I'm a reload! Reloading! Ammo here.
Left 4 Dead 2's level designers started out by experimenting with variants on the proven designs of Left 4 Dead 1. For example, we tried out several situations where there was a benefit to splitting up the group. We soon found that Left 4 Dead 1 had done such a good job of training people to stick together, it was incredibly difficult to get them to...
This is the only traditional crescendo event in the Parish campaign. In Left 4 Dead 1, every crescendo event was essentially a button press where players held out in one spot until the infected stopped coming. While we added the onslaught and optional crescendo variations, we felt that the old school Left 4 Dead style event still had some life in it.
Alright, I'm hitting it. Damn, reload!
Looking at reference from New Orleans, we saw a lot of images of Mardi Gras. We decided we couldn't have a campaign set in that region without a parade float. We designed our float to look a bit sinister. Whereas most gesture heads are typically bright and goofy, we wanted ours to be a bit darker and more scary, so we made the model appear more angular. We also chose colors that were less cheerful and more in keeping with the fall festival.
Molotov coming! Reloading! Hey, we can get across now! Reload! Reloading!
Grabbing a Molotov.
Valve has a history of supporting community developers and helping to promote their creations. And with the Left 4 Dead games, we've taken the opportunity to make the great content our community produces even more accessible with our new add-on system. Content creators can package new campaigns into a single add-on file, which end users can easily...
Given the realistic nature of Left 4 Dead, players expect the zombies and survivors to move in natural ways. However, animating that kind of motion by hand is very difficult and time-consuming, and anyone can tell when it's not quite right. Since we don't want every zombie to move the same way, a large number of motions are required to provide enough variety. All these constraints drove us to use motion capture. The process of motion capture really begins with the character designs. Once we've decided how we want the survivors and zombies to look and behave, we audition actors just as we would any other performance piece. For instance, a 265-pound high school coach moves very differently from a 115-pound TV producer. Using one actor for both roles would be a mistake.
Reloading.
So we look for people who fit the body type and who can bring out the personality in their motion. On the other hand, in the case of the zombies, we consider them more like feral animals. So we'll use only one actor for all of them, regardless of gender. We then provide the studio with a digital character, a list of the moves we would like to do, and the props we'll need. Once actors are chosen, we head to the studio and spend a day with them recording the motions we need for the game. It's a very physically demanding day, and in order not to exhaust the actor early in the session, we oscillate the captures between high and low intensity actions. Just try crouch walking 40 feet as our survivors do, and you'll feel the burn. But that's just one of hundreds of motions we record for each character. During the session, we can watch the actor's motion applied in real time to our character model, and work.
After we shipped Left 4 Dead, we heard a lot of positive responses about the infected that were unique to their locales. There were patients in the hospital, cops in the streets, and TSA agents in the airport. We wanted to add further variety to Left 4 Dead 2's campaigns, so we decided to include an uncommon common infected for each campaign. The first to be added was the Sita guy. Once we got him in the game, we realized that his uniqueness should not merely be visual, but should extend to gameplay as well. In the case of the Sita guy, his hazmat suit suggested that he should be impervious to fire. We extended this notion when we added the Mudman, the Clown, the Construction Worker, and the Riot Cop.
Reloading! Watch out! Reloading!
In Left 4 Dead, our designers could place alarmed cars in levels. When shot, these cars would flash and make noise, attracting the infected horde. Unfortunately, the alarmed cars would be located in the same position on every playthrough, taking away from the desired unpredictability. In Left 4 Dead 2, designers can now place.
We are.
All right. We're gonna stroll across the bridge, and the army's gonna take care of us.
Or they're gonna line us up against the wall and shoot us. Throw the pipe bomb. Let's let them know we're here.
This finale felt risky.
Game assets are more likely to make it through production if they serve the game on multiple levels. Take this bridge ramp, for example. Movement-wise, it acts as the starting gate. Audio-wise, it acts as the starting gun. Visually, it blocks and breaks up a potentially uninteresting view. Fictionally, the seizing malfunction and resulting loud bang make it clear that the players have attracted every infected on the bridge.
Help, sir. Bridge. They just said we ought to lower the bridge to get across it. And once we lower it, we all gotta be careful because there's zombies on the bridge. Guess he didn't know we've been like fighting zombies all through the city. And the swamps. And the river. And shit. Everywhere. Man, we're like fighting zombie machines and shit.
Let's move!
One of our most important tools for creating and evaluating environments was what we called the Left 4 Dictionary. This collectively developed set of terms, ideas, and gameplay grammar describes spaces via their physical properties, functions to gameplay, and their relative advantage or disadvantage to the survivor or infected sides. This provided the team with a shared language for types of gameplay spaces with examples such as capillary, close quarters, open space, funnel, king of the hill, etc. It also allowed the team to talk about and
most of the region where Left 4 Dead 2 is set is quite flat. There are few hills or changes in elevation, but maps without any elevation change can be monotonous both visually and in terms of gameplay. That's why this double-decker bridge was not only a visually strong set piece, it added the much-needed element of verticality to the campaign.
Stormy weather effects give the director yet another way to influence gameplay by altering the player's sensory capacity. One goal of the weather effects is to draw the team together and put them in a defensive stance, such as taking refuge within a building. In this respect, Weather's much like a crescendo event, but because it's entirely under director control, it can happen at any time, any place. The storm itself is created using a combination of particle effects, fog, tone mapping, local contrast, post-processing, DSP alterations, and sound effects. While technically a storm can strike in any environment, we chose to limit it to the Milltown campaign in order to provide a fictional background for the flooding of the maps. Thus, the storm is thematically tied to a new navigational challenge and creates a unique experience for that campaign.
The new campaigns in Left 4 Dead 2 featured a great deal more water than in the original game. Therefore, it was a priority to improve our water rendering. One of the most important new pieces of technology enabled artists to paint water flow uniquely on each water surface. This allows us to make the water look like it's flowing in any direction we desire without any constraints. This not only looks better, it aids gameplay by subtly guiding the player where they need to go. As an example, in the swamp levels, the water usually appears to flow towards the end of the level. And water is far more convincing when you can actually see it flow around obstacles like trees and rocks.
Traditionally, players were connecting to our multiplayer games by selecting a server with available player slots from a very big list. Players might select a server by an appealing server name or network latency. This worked well for 24 or 32 player games, where many players could have a great experience even without tight cooperation with their teammates. But for Left 4 Dead franchise, a different approach was required. We wanted to build a group of 4 players who could start a campaign together, possibly as complete.
For Left 4 Dead 2, the Source Engine received many new features and optimizations that enable it to handle denser, higher resolution environments, effects, and characters. This gave us leeway to fit additional weapons, creatures, and larger environments.
The Source Engine uses 2 different methods for modeling world environments: a volume-based system for general forms and a polygon-based system for details. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages, and they must be integrated together to create a game map. One of the challenges associated with this setup is that the 2 systems have mostly separate authoring pipelines, and it's easy to make a change in one and break a tightly integrated set. As part of making the modular kit of parts that was used to create this bridge, we developed a new hybrid workflow that allows content authors to create and iteratively edit both types of world geometry simultaneously in a single tool. The resulting modules are pre-optimized Lego blocks